Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. There's a 5-game slate on deck for Tuesday, September 17th. Now, normally, if you're new to these videos, I would break down and analyze each game, would go over which way that I was leaning as far as the points and the spread, and then we would talk about any player props that I found for those games. However, with it being, we have games today, and then we have some games on Thursday, and then that's it for the regular season, guys. So, with it being, coming down to these last few games on the year, a lot of teams, there's not much implications as far as seedings and standings. Now, there are some in these games. I'm not going to hold you, right? But it's just, I'm just being real with you. I don't have that much of a desire to play the points, play the spread, money lines, totals right now. Things just feel really up in the air. Feels like a huge risk to me personally. Just not interested in it, guys. I am really just kind of focused on the player props for today's slate of games and for Thursdays as well. So that's how these videos are going to look. And then once we start into the playoffs, we will get back to breaking down, analyzing each of the games, going through them thoroughly. And then, I'll give you guys my leans as far as the points and the spread for those games. And some of my picks will reflect those as well. But just doesn't feel worth it to break down games. And I'm not going to bet on the points. I'm not going to bet on the spread. I'm not going to bet on the money line right now. It's just not in the cards for me. It's not interesting to try to play that game right now. So with that said, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's dive into it. Let's recap our picks from Sunday. Man, we were on a heater going into Sunday, right? I accidentally, I sold myself short, guys. I put 18-3 in the video. That's what I put on the thumbnail. It was actually on an 18-2 run. And one of those losses too, was because Ezzy Magbagor got hurt. So, like, in all reality, it could have been a 19-1 run that we were on. So, a hell of a week, right? And then Sunday, we kind of fall back to earth a little bit. We put in 9 plays now. I was kind of a psycho for that. But that's why I'm rocking the shirts. Scared money don't make money, right? So we definitely weren't scared on Sunday. We definitely didn't make money though. We did end up losing just a little bit. So we took the Mystics on the money line. We don't cash there. Took Jordan Canada over 9.5 rebounds and assists. Also do not cash there. Took Kelsey Mitchell in the first quarter over 5.5 points. Now, she comes out flat in that first quarter. I think she was 1 of 6 shooting, 3 points, and then she turns it up for the rest of the game, right? I think she had 12 in the second quarter. Just couldn't get it done in the first quarter for us, but she's having a hell of a year, man. Can't knock her whatsoever. We don't cash on that one. We took the Wings plus 8.5. We do hit on that, but, was a little bit scared with that one. Put a half unit on it like a dummy. I don't know what was I thinking. Then we took Kennedy Carter over 4.5 rebounds. She does not hit on this one. Took Jackie Young under 17.5 points plus rebounds. She clears that, so we don't hit that one either. Then we took Marina Mabry over 13.5 points, and we do hit, but once again, put a half unit on it. What are we thinking, Trey? Come on, man. But, smooth sailing from there. Took the Sparks plus 8.5. Got it at plus money on BetMGM, and we do hit on that one. Took Rakia Jackson over 15.5 points, and we do hit on that one as well. She cashed that one in the third quarter. So we finished 4-5 on the night. We lost just over 2 units. But, man, we were up. I mean, we're still up 5 units on the week, right? So nothing to be mad about, man. We had a great week. Just kind of a letdown on Sunday, just a little bit. But we're going to dive right back into it, man. We will go over these picks for today, and hopefully we can get right back on the winning side of things. Now, the first pick I'm going to look at is Courtney Williams of the Minnesota Lynx. I'm looking at her points, over 10.5. We can catch this over at FanDuel for minus 130. Now, if we jump down here, let's look at her in her last 5 games. Oh, isn't that beautiful? That's a whole lot of green down there, guys. She has hit this in her last 5 at a 100% hit rate. And we can just keep pushing it back further to see how consistent she has been hitting this. And she has hit in 80% of her last 10, 8 out of 10 times. So we got to like that there, right? And if we look at her head-to-head against, these Connecticut Sun guys, she is hitting at an 83% rate in the last 6 games played against the Sun, including that one that she played against them this year. Now, the one key for concern here is that Connecticut defense, man, right? Against guards, they are first for points allowed. That's a big old red 1 over there. Now, we don't like to see that, but like I said, if we look at her head-to-head, she has had some success against this Connecticut defense. So, it's a flyer that we got to take, man, in my opinion. Kind of got to play against that Connecticut defense there and trust the trends there with Courtney Williams. And, minus 130, it's a little bit juiced, but I like the chances of it, man. And I think that's why it's juiced. You know what I mean? She, like I said, has had some success against this Connecticut team. Then next up, going to be looking at Dewana Bonner. Her points over 13.5, and she plays for the Sun. We can catch this on Prize Picks at minus 119, underdog at minus 120. But if you do not have either of those available in your state, we can get this on FanDuel at minus 122. Now, this game's going to be, it's going to be defined by defense. This is another one where, the Lynx are second for points allowed overall. And then same thing when we look at them against forwards. Dewana does kind of shift between that forward and guard position. It's the same thing for guards, right? They just sit at second overall for points allowed, Minnesota, whether you're looking at them, like I said, overall or against guards or against forwards. If we look down here, man, Dewana Bonner in her last 5, she's only hit this at a 2 out of 5 rate for a 40%. In her last 10, same thing, only a 40% rate. So Trey, what are we digging here, man? What's going on between the defense and in the trends of the last 10 games, last 5 games? Well, if we look at her head-to-head, it's the same thing, right? As that Courtney Williams prop just a minute ago. It's like, the defense is there, the numbers are there, but then head-to-head, Dewana Bonner has kind of been smoking Minnesota, right? The 2 games that they've played this year, she has cleared this number by a mile. And then dating back to July of last year, she has hit over this number in her last 7 attempts. So hitting at a 78% rate in the last 9 games against the Sun. If we look at this insight from Outlier, man, just more green, right? She's hit in 14 of her last 18 games at home. She's gone over this number. So, between that and her success against the Sun head-to-head, I like this one here. And like I said, we can catch this over there on Prize Picks at minus 119. Or if you don't have Prize Picks or underdogs, go ahead and look at FanDuel. We can get it for minus 122. And next up, going to be looking at Marina Mabry of the Sun. Now, normally you guys would see me take her points and her total, right? And we're going to switch it up a little bit. I'm looking at her rebounds under 3.5. Now, it is juice, but we can get this at FanDuel for minus 148. Now, if we look at the Lynx against guards, the rebounds allowed, only 9th. So little cause for concern there. But if we look at this insight from Outlier, she has failed to exceed 3.5 rebounds in 5 straight games now. So that's the number that we like to see. A whole lot of green down there. That's what we like to see when it comes to these things here. But if we look at her head-to-head, now against the Lynx in her last 3, she has hit under this number 3 times in a row, hitting at a 75% rate in her last 4 games. And next up, looking at Jonquel Jones of the Liberty, her points and rebounds over 21.5. Catch this one at Prize Picks as well for minus 119, or we can get it at Bet365 for minus 120. If we look at the Mystics against the Liberty, if we look at the Mystics against points and rebounds allowed, they sitting at 7th for points, sitting at 8th for rebounds. But if we look at them specifically against centers, they do get a little better, but still are middle of the pack, sitting at 6th in points, 5th in rebounds. If we look at Jonquel in her last 10, she has hit over this number at a 60% rate. So we like that there. Definitely more green than red. If we look at her head-to-head, she has now hit in her last 7 against this Washington Mystics team. All 3 times on the year as well this year, and she is clearing that number, guys. 37, 26, 33 in the 3 games played, and then pushing back to last year, 33, 32, 28, 38. All right, so looking good, right? Looking good. And if we look at this insight from Outlier, she has exceeded this 21.5 points plus rebound mark in 10 of her last 13 games when it comes to bottom 5 defenses for rebounds allowed. So like I said, man, that's 10 out of her last 13, a 77% hit rate. So you got to love that here, man. We love to see it. Then I'm going to be looking at Brittany Sykes of the Mystics. Her rebounds over 3.5, and we can get this at plus money for 108 right now on FanDuel. Now, this is another one where it kind of looks a little deceiving to the eye. In her last 5 attempts, man, she's only hitting this over at a 40% rate, right? And then in her last 10, still only a 40% rate. And if we look at her over her last 20, now we get green, but we're only at 55%, an 11 out of 20 hit rate. So it's not like the trends are really just screaming for us to take this one, right? So what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at that head-to-head matchup for one. Brittany Sykes against this New York Liberty team, hitting at an 86% rate, 6 out of 7 attempts, and hitting in her last 5 in a row against New York as well. That's dating back to last July. Now, if we look at the Liberty overall for rebounds allowed, second. Look at them against guards, second to last. So this definitely plays into our favor as well. Then we're going to be looking at Chelsea Gray of the Aces. I'm looking at her assist over 4.5. We can get this one on DraftKings right now at -130. Can also get this at Bet365 for -130. Now, the Storm against guards for assists allowed, they sit at just 7th. And if we look down here at this insight from Outlier, she has exceeded 4.5 assists in 4 of her last 5 games on the road, hitting at an 80% rate. Now, looky over here, guys. Green, green, green. So whether we look at her in her last 5, her last 10, her last 20, we're seeing that she hits all of these at a 60% or higher rate, no matter how far back we're going, smacking out of 13 out of 20 times in the last 20 games. If we look at her head-to-head, beautiful. Look at all that green down there against the Storm team, man. And 2 for this year as well. 100% hit rate in her last 6 against Seattle. All right, and then on the year, just more green, guys. Like I said, 62%. 16 out of the last 26 games, she has hit over this mark as well. So I like this one here. It is juiced at -130, but I think there's a reason for that. It's probably all that damn green down here, man, playing into our favor. So like I said, I like this one, and we can get this at DraftKings right now or Bet 365 for the same price. Then the last prop I'm looking at is going to be Rickea Jackson of the Sparks, looking at her rebounds over 3.5. Now, this one is juiced as well at -145, but we can look at a alternate line here of over 4, but that one is only available on Prize Picks. So just depending on where you're at, you might pay a little juice or you might pay a lot of juice. So like I said, just kind of depends on where you're at, but we'll look at it with this over 4, right? And it's another scenario, guys. All right, only 20% in her last 10. I don't like that, not at all. But what I do like is her head-to-head against the Mercury. Now, she is a rookie, right? So we're only looking at this year. 2 games in June, 1 in early July, and she's cleared this number in both of them, right? 7, 6, and 6. We only need her to get 4 at this mark. We're going to need her to get 5 here if you're taking it on Prize Picks. But, still, like I said, we're still hitting over that number. Now, the best thing over here, let's look at the Mercury for rebounds allowed. Dead last. And if we look at them against forwards, not like it gets much better, man. They're just sitting at 9th. Still green on that board. So we definitely like to see that one. Rickea Jackson, we can get her rebounds over 4. Like I said, -119 on Prize Picks. Or if you don't have that available in your state, we can pay a little bit of juice. Get this on FanDuel at -145. Now, guys, that is going to do it here for another episode. Sorry for the shortened video once again. Like I said, man, just kind of a busy week as well with work. But also, even if I wasn't, I don't think that I would be playing the spreads or the totals in this one. Just not that appealing to me at the end of the regular season with teams jockeying for position, man. There's going to be upsets. It's just kind of hard to call. So once we get back into the playoffs, that is where we will start breaking down and analyzing each of these games once again. And that's going to do it, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Hope you guys cash out. Let's get back on the winning side of things. If anybody tailed me on Sunday and did not get a bag, man, I do apologize, but we will bounce back today, guys. Let's get after it. Best of luck, and I'll see you in the next video.